Jo from stampingjo.com, and welcome to week 4 of the November Stamping 411 videos. This one will conclude our projects with the Snow is Glistening stamp set. So if you haven't seen it yet, here it is. It has beautiful snowflakes, greetings, this gorgeous tree which I used last week, and so much fun that you can do with it. Don't forget that the stamp set is only available in November. So make sure you get it if you fall in love with it. And then I'm also mentioned this month that if you purchase this stamp set in a minimum purchase of $60, then I will send you all 4 cards pre-cut for you to assemble and stamp. So you'll get that card kit in the mail from me when you buy the Snow is Glistening stamp set in an order of a minimum of $60. So let's get started. So we really only have 3 main pieces of cardstock. So I used our thick Whisper White cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 11. And you can see that I've already scored it at the 5 1/2 mark. We have our Pacific Point cardstock that is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And then a regular Whisper White cardstock cut to 1 inch by 5 1/4 inches. And then we're just going to use some extra Whisper White pieces to cut out some snowflakes, and that's it. So let's get the stamping done. For this card, I'm really only using 1 stamp, and that's our greeting stamp. I tried to use my Pacific Point ink pad, but I couldn't find my re-inker and it just wasn't inky enough. So I'm going to show you a different way to stamp that. So we're going to use our Stampin' Right markers. Our Stampin' Right markers are 2 tips. One is this brush tip and one is a writing tip. So we're going to use the brush tip for this one. And we're just going to use the side and just cover that whole stamp set with the 1 Pacific Point color. Now the fun thing with our markers is if I did want to use a second color on this, or even a 3rd or a 4th, I can actually color that in the spots that I want, in the colors that I want. Because this is dye-based ink, you don't want to go too slow because it will start to dry out. And when you have that completely covered, we're going to huff on it just to re-moisten it a little bit. So, sounds really fun off camera. And we're going to stamp that to the right-hand side of that Whisper White. Give it nice even pressure to make sure everything is covered. And then just peel that off. So you have some really nice Pacific Point ink on there, but we used a marker instead of an ink pad. For this next step, I'm bringing in my Big Shot, and I'm using a new to me product. So this is our Big Shot embossing mats. When you purchase this product, it comes with 3 pieces. So you get the impressions pad, and then a thin and a thick silicone rubber mat. For this particular one, I decided to use the thick one just because I wanted my impressions to be a little bit more. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using our actual framelits to do a impression in our cardstock versus cutting. So this is what this great product does, is it allows you to have these framelits and use them in a different way. I'm going to be using our framelits from the Snowfall Thinlits, and to build the sandwich, here is how I did it. So I'm going to take my piece of cardstock that I want actually embossed and put it just above my Big Shot platform. Then I'm going to take my clear mat, and I'm using the cleaner of the 2 that I use. So not the one that I usually cut on, but the one that I put on top. And I'm going to start layering these thinlits on top of where that blue mat is going to be. So you can do it any way you want. Kind of do it offset. Put the little ones in there to fill in some empty spots. And this is basically just to eyeball where you want them to be. So once you're happy with how they look, we're going to remove this, take our cardstock out, and bring that back on. And then just take your piece of cardstock and put it over your thinlits. Next, I'm going to take that silicone mat and place it on top, hoping that my cardstock didn't move. No, it's pretty good. And then I'm going to take this other piece here, my impressions pad, and lay that on top. And then we're just going to run that through the Big Shot. Once it's through the Big Shot, all we have to do is take these off, and you are going to see the beautiful texture that that creates. So there's the back side, and then there is the front side. Now you'll see it can cut a little bit too. I don't mind that too much. And it just adds such gorgeous, gorgeous background. So I want to use this in my Big Shot one more time. So we're going to build a different platform now. So we're going to use our Big Shot platform with our thin die adapter. We're going to put our clear plate that I use for my cutting. So you can see there's actual cutting on there. Whisper white cardstock. And then I want to cut 3 snowflakes. So I want this one. Let's see, this one for a little one. And then this one for kind of a medium-sized one. I'm going to put on my other clear plate like this, and then I'm going to run that through the Big Shot. Once they come out of the Big Shot, you can just kind of pick them out here, and we can use our Take a Pick tool and just start poking out all of these little spots to get that snowflake out. Now that I have all 3 of my snowflakes out, I'm going to use my Champagne Mist shimmer paint, and we're just going to shake that. I just have a piece of plastic here that I used, and I'm going to add just a little bit of that shimmer paint on there. Maybe a drop or 2, there we go. And then I'm just using one of my daubers, and we're going to add some really pretty shimmer paint onto there. Okay, so I'm just gonna take some and then go off a little bit and literally just tap it onto my snowflake. It dries fairly quickly, and it is so pretty when you have it on there. It just adds that right amount of shimmer. So I'm going to do that to all 3 of my snowflakes. Now that I have the shimmer all done, I'm going to set them aside for a couple of minutes while I assemble my card. That'll give them time to dry. Now you've probably seen me do this before, but because this has so much texture, using our snail on there, it's probably going to pop off. So I'm using our tear and tape, which I am in love with, because it's so sticky and it'll definitely not come off. So I'm just going to do all 4 sides, and then just take my little pick tool, or you can take your paper snips and just peel that off, or your fingernails if you find it easy to do it that way. We're going to get that onto our thick Whisper White. Now when I do a card backing, I use our thick Whisper White because it just is sturdier for the background of a card. So I want it to go like this. And then we're going to place our greeting on, and I did the same thing. I used my tear and tape for that. So I just did both sides and the middle to give it a little bit more sturdiness. Next, I'm going to use my fine tip glue pen to glue my snowflakes on. And when I did this card the first time, I actually let it dry for a good half hour after adding the glue. But for the video, I'm going to show you just quickly what I did. So you want to add some of that glue on the back. Don't get too much, or else it's going to squeeze out. You can bring it into the little spots, do the polka dots. And the main reason why I put this one here is because I wanted to take the snowflake and kind of add it on top. And what I did is I actually took some of my blocks, and I actually just added a block right on top to hold it down, just to give it a bit of time to dry before I went on to the next step. Last week I announced that if you leave me a comment on the Stamping 411 video from last week, you'll get a chance to win these beautiful sparkly rhinestones. And I have picked our winner. The winner is Shirley Baker, who made a comment on my blog. So Shirley, if this is you, send me your address and I will get it in the mail for you. For this week, I'm going to be giving away gorgeous grape ribbon. It is so pretty and it has lots of stripes on it. So you can see it's white and then the purple. So don't forget, leave me a comment on my blog, on my Facebook page, or on my YouTube channel to be entered to win. So we're going to be finishing off our card. So it is somewhat dry, and I'm going to take back in my rhinestones and just adding, I want to add the big ones on a couple. So this larger one and the medium. And then on the smaller one, I just added a small rhinestone. So look at how pretty that is. I hope you can see the sparkle and just how beautiful that is in real life. So thank you so much for watching this week, and I will see you next week for a brand new stamp set in a brand new month. Bye!